The Game Boy was one of my most favorite handheld consoles to play on as a kid. When I first got one, I used to take it with me everywhere I went, almost as if it was attached to me. I had all kinds of games, anywhere from Pokemon to Bomberman to Warrior Land to little space shooters and arcade ports. One game I got used to belonged to my cousin, Paige. It was called Tamagotchi, and it was based on a line of electronic keychain toys that were popular during the 90s. She was a big fan at the time, having all kinds of virtual Tamagotchi pets in all different skins. The premise of the game was very simple, yet a little bit complicated. You start by picking of one of 8 eggs in different patterns, then giving it a name. It was never clear what gender you get, but you could tell by your pet's color when it hatched. Black meant you got a boy, white meant you got a girl. Depending on how well you took care of your pet, it would grow into different characters. If neglected for too long, however, it would eventually die. One day I went to visit my cousin Paige at her house. She was cleaning her bedroom up and needed to get some things. One such thing happened to her Game Boy, which surprisingly still worked. I was very young at the time, about 10 years old. I was still really into these kinds of games. You gave me your own Game Boy, but I thought you liked this old thing. Well, I got kind of tired of it. I didn't know what else to do with it. I give it to you. She smiled and handed me the Game Boy and a great cartridge. I looked at the label, and sure enough, the title read Tamagotchi. However, something was slightly different. The label is supposed to show 3 images of a little creature hatching from an egg and smiling as it comes out, but the last image made the creature appear to be sick, almost dying. I figured maybe the label's a bit worn out. I shrugged it off and kept it in the Game Boy's cartridge slot to keep it safe until I got home. I got home and went to my bed to go play it. I turned on the game and noticed the introduction cutscene looked slightly altered. The original intro shows a small UFO falling to the earth and landing to near a city, but instead the UFO just crash landed into the city, creating a large fire within it. I was skeptical about this, but I thought it was nothing. I went to the options menu and to look at an option called Memory Book, which let you see small records of pets that you have died on your save file. One spot had been empty because no other pet had been hatched, but 2 of them looked odd. One of my cousin's pets, which he named Buffy, had a skull icon in place of the tiny portrait of the pet itself. The other, Kevin, looked like it was sleeping, but below it, its age said SKYPRSN, which probably meant sick person, due to the tiny space in the log. I was shocked. I had never seen something like this in a virtual pet game. Not only that, but why would such a thing appear, and what would it be implying? That somebody somehow abandoned their pet and left them to die. Anyway, I started a new game and chose a spotted egg pattern. I couldn't really think of any names, but I was certain I was going to get a female, so I put Sarah as a name. I waited about 5 seconds for the egg to hatch. It did, and sure enough, I got a little white blob indicating I hatched a girl. It looked as if it had a sad or bored expression on its face, and I heard a fanging sound coming out of the Game Boy, meaning it was hungry. I checked her stats just to see how hungry she was. It played 1 black heart, meaning she was very hungry. I selecting the food icon gave me 5 choices: a slice of bread, a slab of meat, a carrot, a piece of cake, and an ice cream cone. I chose the meat. It fell onto the ground next to my pet. She happily gobbled it up. Then I noticed something strange. She started yawning, and I heard a little whine, wavy sound coming from my Game Boy speakers, which was supposed to Then the yawning. My pet fell asleep for a few minutes, and I turned off the lights, making the screen go black so she could sleep. But just as I turned off the virtual lights, I have sworn I saw some kind of text appear for a fraction of a second. I didn't know what it was, but it looked like it said, "Don't leave me. Like you did the others, please." As a little kid of only 10 years old, I was pretty shocked. Was my own pet talking to me? After a while, she woke up, and I could tell because I heard a pegging sound indicating my pet was cheering or laughing. I turned on the lights, and noticed she was bouncing around the screen, wide awake. "You just woke up," I said to myself, confused by my pet's behavior. After bouncing around for a good 3 minutes, she fell back asleep instantly. After a moment, she appeared to be having a nightmare because she had almost frightened look on her face as she slept and appeared to be fidgeting like something was stressing her out. Some calm music played while she was slept, but it sounded eerie at the same time. I turned off the lights again, and this time I saw another message for a split second saying, "Don't put it down, don't put it down." Huh? Don't put what down? The Game Boy? I heard another yawning noise as she started to wake up, and the little seeds that represented the illusion she was snoring started to disappear, meaning it was time for me to turn on the lights. I did, and I got one subliminal message saying, "Don't put it down, or I won't wake up." Now I was scared. I was almost as if my own virtual pet was talking to me through the Game Boy. I reluctantly did what my pet told me and held it for a long time, but then she started looking depressed. I noticed a little shadow over his head, implying it was sick. But what really got me was that the background started to get more depressing with my pet's mood. It started getting darker the more depressed it got, and then it looked like it was starting to cry. It also had been kind of crawling along the screen, and the sadder it got, the slower it started to crawl, as if even more sick. Suddenly, the lights flickered on and off, and for another split second, the message I got this time was, "Help me! Help me! I'm not going to make it! Help me!" I felt kind of saddened. I thought my pet was already about to die. I had just hatched it, which wasn't uncommon with my skills of this game, so I quickly moved the cursor up onto the medicine icon, a small spring with the liquid on it. Something was wrong. I tried to open the menu. I got a quick glance at the two options I could pick to cure my pet, but the menu closed before I could select anything. I tried selecting again, but this time the menu won't open at all. I just heard a buzzing noise each time, and I tried to select it. The lights flickered one more time, and one more message saying, "You weren't fast enough." After that, the screen started flashing like crazy for the death animation as my little blob appeared to be dead in its tracks. Her body just laid there, slumped down. There was nothing I could do as the screen kept flashing. I couldn't select anything or move the cursor at all. I noticed the background of her room seemed to change for a second. It appeared to briefly show some writing. Every few seconds the screen flashed, the writing would appear, and things like "traitor" and "heartless," and I finally saw "you're a sick person" across the top of the window. I was really heartbroken now. What exactly did I do to my own pet? All I did was try to take care of it, and what did it mean by I wasn't fast enough? Maybe it was because I didn't pick up the game fast enough. Finally, I heard a long beep as the screen faded to white. A cutscene then showed my pet sitting there, dead, in a grayscale background. Now, normally, the last part of the death sequence is supposed to show your pet turning into an angel floating across the screen, or a ghost if you're playing the Japanese version. But instead, it seemed to float across the screen as if some invisible hand or arm was dragging it around. After a minute or two, it started to decay and decompose. After that, all the images faded away, and another text popped up saying, "Why? Why did you leave me?" I had never been horrified in my entire life. I erased all of that much as I could, and I tucked the cartridge away. I forget to look.